Hey YouTube, welcome to Sunkerns Lab. Today I have an OU battle on Pokemon Showdown, and I haven't uploaded OU in probably about 2 weeks. I honestly don't like playing OU. I don't enjoy it, and to be honest with you, I don't like making teams in OU either, because I just find that there's too many threats to take care of in a team, and it's really just impossible to cover all bases. So it's really hard to just make a team, and I really just don't enjoy the metagame as well, so that's why you tend to see more videos from me in UU, RU. I might throw in some random NU battles. I kind of played the shit out of NU already and killed it for myself, but I do still enjoy the lower tiers more than I enjoy OU. So that's why you haven't seen many OU battles from me. And secondly, as you can see, I'm running a Hail team, and I've never run a Hail team on this channel. I've only really played around with Hail teams in the past. I've never really gotten serious with it. I don't like Hail, and I find it just very annoying more than anything. But in celebration of the Christmas season, of the holiday season, I decided to toss together a Hail team. It's nothing special, it's nothing great. You know, you're looking at the team right now, you're probably thinking, well, this guy's got a huge weakness to fire. Well, yeah, big deal. You know, I don't really care. It's just a fun team. I decided to just throw it together within like a half hour last night, and you know, I'm not taking it too seriously. You shouldn't take it too seriously. It's just for fun. But I did get a pretty decent battle. So I'm figured that I'll upload it, just like I said, for the Christmas season. So, anyway, looking at his team, I know he has the Politoed, which is probably going to be his lead. He could lead with the Meowschout or the Scizor for the U-turn. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, like I said, I'm getting sicker and sicker by like the minute. But anyway, he could lead with the Scizor or the Meowschout for the U-turn initiative, but I was just feeling like he would probably want to lead with that Politoed. So that's actually what he ends up doing. He ends up leading with the Politoed. I lead with my Abomasnow, and because Politoed tends not to carry anything to touch Abomasnow, I felt pretty safe going for the Leech Seed. I ended up Leech Seeding the Chansey, which is wonderful, because with Chansey Leech Seeded, I get back like 18% health every turn. So I was pretty happy with that, but he ends up just going for a switch back into his Politoed. And he goes for the Ice Beam. He can't break my sub with one Ice Beam. I'm especially defensive, so I don't understand why he decided to go for the Ice Beam, but whatever. I guess maybe he might not have known that. Obviously, that's not exactly, like, common knowledge, but I think it should have been pretty obvious that I'm a sub-seeding set. I'm going to be more defensive. Anyway, he goes for the Perish Song. I went for Leech Seed again, just basically expecting him to switch out. And because I know I'm going to have to switch out eventually, and chances are he's going to switch out too, because he's not really going to want to stay in on my Abomasnow because he can't touch me, I end up switching out to my Gliscor, and he brings in his Chansey, and my Gliscor isn't the normal sub-protect, toxic, Poison Heal set. It's just basically a Stealth Rocker. I mean, it does have Substitute, but it's basically Substitute, Stealth Rock, Earthquake, and Toxic. It's not really meant to be the full-on Toxic Staller. So I just basically go for the EQ, go for the Toxic, just basically wearing down his Chansey as much as possible. And I end up switching out into my Abomasnow just to get the Hail back up, and he switches into a Scizor, which is terrible for me because he has Bullet Punch, he has the Superpower, and I know that I can't touch him in return, so I have to switch out. I go into my Gliscor, but because I know for a fact he's going to switch out to his Politoed, I decided to switch into my Abomasnow, but because my... I'm actually going to pause here, because this is something that I found pretty interesting. Because my Gliscor was faster than his Scizor, I switched out first, and therefore I brought my Abomasnow in first, and because it was already hailing, my Abomasnow didn't actually take effect. My Snow Warning didn't take effect. Therefore, when he brought in his Politoed, he was able to bring up the rain and put up the rain, even though he's faster than me, which is pretty weird, because you would think that weather would have its own sort of bracket in the after turn effects, but apparently that's not the case. It's not a big deal. I just thought it was interesting, and it was actually the first time that I ever realized this, and I really didn't even notice at first until I rewatched the battle, and I was like, what the hell? I thought that Hail was up this whole time, but it wasn't. So anyway, I'm just going to keep narrating the battle rather than wasting time. He goes for the Hydro Pump, and he has a really weird Politoed set. Maybe he's new. I mean, looking at his team, it's not really synergized very well. so he might be a new player, but I mean, considering he has Hydro Pump, Ice Beam, what else did he have? He had Ice Beam, probably has like Scald. I don't know. I mean, the point is that he has a lot of really weird moves, and he has leftovers, so his set doesn't really like fit well together. But you know, whatever. Anyway, he brings in his Latios. I bring in my Wolverine because I know I can take 2 Draco Meteors after the special defense drop. So, I mean, the special attack drop, excuse me. But because I ended up leech sheeting him, I can probably take like 3 or 4 of those Draco Meteors. And he knows that, so he's just forced to switch out. He goes with his Chansey, probably expecting something like Toxic, but I end up just pulling a double switch right back out to my Abomasnow to get the Hail back up. And then he switches into his Politoed to get the Rain up. I mean, at this point, I've already basically won the Weather War because anytime he brings in his Politoed, I can bring in my Abomasnow and set up a substitute, regardless of what he does. Because thus far, he hasn't showed me that he can hit me with anything. So, anyway, he brings in his Mian Chow because obviously he doesn't want to stay in and be leech seeded with his Politoed. And I was really hoping he would go for the high jump kick and I could protect off and make him miss, but he ends up going for the Drain Punch, and it seems like he's choiced because, I mean, I bring in my Frost Ice, he could have very easily gone for the Stone Edge, but instead he just has to switch out into his Politoed, and I was actually predicting him to go for the Stone Edge, so I switched into my Gliscor, but like I said, he goes into his Politoed, and I know that I can't touch the Politoed score, he can just destroy me with an Ice Beam. So I go into my Walrein, and I take 4% from the Ice Beam, it's like nothing. And then he surprises the shit out of me, and he goes for Focus Blast. And like I said, this guy seems to have a really weird Politoed set. But fortunately for me, I am able to get the Toxic off on this Politoed, which is going to be great. Because between the Leech Seed damage that I seem to keep getting on him and the Toxic damage and the Stealth Rock damage, I mean, the Politoed is just getting worn down extremely fast, and I would like to get my Hail up ASAP for good. So anyway, predicting him to go for the Focus Blast, I just switch into my Frost Blast. I know that I'm immune to it. I can take any other moves that he has, really. But then he brings in a Scizor, and I was really afraid of the Bullet Punch, so I decided to switch, and he ends up going for the Pursuit. And I'm like, fuck. Whatever, I got up a Layer Spike, so I'm okay with that. So I bring in my Abomasnow, knowing that I can put up the Hail. I know I can take Pursuits, and I'm assuming he's banded, judging by how much damage that did. But I ended up missing the Leech Seed, and so I'm kind of pissed, actually, because between the losing my Frost Blast or Pursuit and then missing the first Leech Seed, I'm kind of annoyed. So I decided that I was just going to set up a sub, go for the Protect, sort of stall him out with the Hail, and I figured that I could get some leftovers back as well from the Protect, and then go for another Leech Seed, but I ended up missing for the second time, and I was really annoyed. I even said in the chat, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? This is ridiculous. But I wasn't really that mad because, I mean, at the end of the day, it's Pokemon. Shit like this happens all the fucking time, so I can't really sit here and whine about it. But he ends up switching up to his Politoed anyway, so it doesn't really make a difference. I don't know why he switched. He could have kept going for the Pursuit, but then again, between all the protecting and the Hail stall, he would have been to the point where I could have revenge killed him with anything. And I guess the hack sort of evens out because he did miss a Hydro Pump with his Politoed. And then because he decides to switch out here like a moron, he's going to die on switching with his Politoed. And his Chansey comes in, and it's only at 9% health, so the Leech Seed's actually going to take it out. So, I mean, at this point, I've already won the Weather War. All I have to do is get my Abomasnow out of here safely. I was kind of afraid that he would go into his Scizor after taking out my substitute, the Latios. So I was kind of debating switching out, because I didn't want him to Pursuit Trap me. But because, I just felt like I could kill the Latios off, and that would be more important to me, because the Hail isn't necessary for my team to function. So I ended up just killing him off, and it ends up going into his Mian Shout anyway. I'm kind of predicting him to go for the Stone Edge this time, because last time I went for the Drain Punch, it didn't work out for him, and I still have the Reuniclus, so I've really expected him to just go straight for... I really expected him to go straight for the Stone Edge, and he does, so I fought out my Walrein, and then I bring in my Gliscor, and I'm able to just set up a substitute. He does get a crit, but it doesn't really matter, because I'm able to go for the Earthquake. I was really just trying to take out his Mian Shao, but he brings in a Scizor, and I'm able to take that thing out. So I feel a lot safer to bring in my Abomasnow now, but at this point, I don't even know if it's going to be necessary because all he has left is a Volcarona. It dies if it switches back. If it switches out, it's dead. If it stays in, it's dead to an Earthquake. So his Volcarona goes down, which was a huge threat. And then he brings in his Mian Chow, and the Mian Chow can't touch me, like we've already established. It's got High Jump Kick, it's got Drain Punch, it's got probably U-Turn and Stone Edge. So yeah, I'm able to take that out with an Earthquake. And then he switches in his Politoed as his last Pokemon, which ends up dying to the Stealth Rocks, and even if he had more health, he would have died to the Spikes anyway. So, whew, that was a long narration. That was a 41-turn battle. I just talked for like 10 minutes straight, like non-stop. So, I'm just going to shut up now because I'm kind of sick of talking. So, thank you for watching the video. Feel free to hit the like button if you enjoyed the battle, and subscribe if you want to see more of my videos in the future. And see you next time.